You'd think that buying or selling a house would feel really exciting. For two of my friends, that excitement turned into complete panic in seconds. And it really annoyed me that they had to go through this crappy experience. So I thought I'd jump on here and explain a bit more, and hopefully it'll help someone. So here's the backstory. So one of my friends is buying her first house and the other is selling theirs. Both of them have gone from complete relief to absolute fear by one single email, all because a survey landed. The thing that's supposed to give peace of mind ends up completely bursting the bubble. So my first friend, she's a first-time buyer. She's found the property, offered on it, offer's been accepted. She's now great. She's thinking about that house. She's in her head, she's moving in. She's thinking about the paint, the decor, what she wants in the house. Normal things that everybody does when they find what it is they're looking for. Then the survey arrives. It's a middle tier report that she's been recommended to have by the agent or the broker. And she's got pages of what they call traffic lights. They like to do them as a traffic light system. So you've got red, urgent, needs attention. Then you've got like the amber, like you need to be aware of it. It's something that needs to be done at some point. And then green, they're more advisories, but they do them in this way so they're categorised. It's easy for people to understand, you'd think. So amongst all these traffic lights, she's got a bunch of red ones. And some of the things on those red ones, damp. There's damp in the property. She's got leaks, she's got asbestos, and she's got electrics. Oh, and also a gas issue. That's how she's perceived this. So she's got 5 things that in her mind are pretty serious. So now she's feeling a bit panicky and she's phoned her mum for some advice and she's spoken to some friends in this panicked way, in this worried way she's feeling. And all of them have said, my advice, run. Just leave it alone and run a mile. And the thing is, it turns out they don't all own property. So they're advising her on something they've never done. But I get it. Fear does spread fast when you're trying to protect someone you love. And they're just trying to be friends and help. So by the time she got around to calling me, she's already pretty much decided she's bought an absolute money pit and the house is falling down and she's ready to walk away. Thank God she called me. So I kind of explained to her, look, don't think like you're thinking right now. Reports are extremely scary and they can be. But let's look at what they actually say and go through a best case scenario. So we sat down together, went through the report line by line, and the first one just says evidence of a leak. So I'm like, okay, it says there's evidence of a leak. And then there's a picture, which isn't very clear, and it looks like it's a pipe that almost looks like it's got 2 stopcocks on it. Strange. And then on the bottom, there's like a patch on the floor, which is discoloured. But in it, there's no mention of dripping or wet pipes. So I was like, look at the floor. That looks to me like there's a stain on the floor. So at some point, there may have been a leak. But it's not clear because it just says evidence of a leak. Electrics below standard. So I ask her, okay, what addition are the electrics? And I explain that, through time, electrics are upgraded or there's safer and better ways to do things. These additions get upgraded. So what addition are they? The report doesn't say. And I explained, well, this house was built in the 80s. It's not normal to buy a house that has got the latest electric unless it's a brand new build. So first of all, you need to find out what that means, because it's probable that what it's actually saying is the electrics are there, they're just not the most recent wiring, the most recent addition. That's completely normal. Then we've got asbestos present. Scary word, I know, but thousands of homes have it, and they generally say it's safe unless it's disturbed. So unless there's an extension happening, leave it where it is. At that point, you get somebody in. Now, I'm not an expert on these things. These are just things I've learned from people along the way. But people hear asbestos and get worried, and I get that. And the one that really got her, damp. Because the house she's buying is empty. It's a probate property, which means somebody's probably passed and their family are now looking to sell that house. The property is empty now and it could have been empty for a long period of time. We live in England, it's wet a lot of the time and it gets cold. So the house will have probably been secured. All windows will have been closed. There'll be no heating on, there'll be no ventilation. Of course you're going to get some damp readings, but that's likely to be condensation, not structural rot. And that's just a reality. Damp is very normal here. I don't think I've ever bought a property that didn't have some form of damp. It's just how our climate works. And it's really simple. You investigate it, you treat it, and you just move on. And every time we went through a best case scenario on the different, on all these different markers, you could just see her shoulders go from this to you could just see now the panic had gone and she was starting to think logically. And by the end of this, she wasn't panicking, she was thinking. We then made a list of questions that she could put to the surveyor. So she asked what edition the electrics were and about the asbestos and the leak. I'm not an expert, but I do know enough to know that this report isn't doom and gloom. Call the surveyor, get clarity, don't assume. And that changed everything. She came back the next day, calmer, clearer, and ready to carry on. It reminded me of something really personal. When my great auntie died, it was someone that my daughter was really close to. And she was young and I just didn't know how to tell her. So I asked GPT, what's the best way to explain death to a child? And the advice that stuck with me was, don't say they've gone to heaven now or they're just in a better place and miss out the how that happened. Because what they will do is they will go to bed and they will fill in those blanks of how they got to heaven. And it is normally way worse than what's actually happened. But they need to know they're dead before that's happened, so they don't catastrophize the rest. That's exactly what happens with surveys. You read half a sentence as a possible leak. There's no context to that. So your brain just goes in and writes that full disaster story. But once you get that full picture, it's rarely that bad. But nobody teaches you how to just read these things calmly. So then there's my other friend who recently has spent months doing up her old house to sell. It looked amazing. She'd got a buyer. Everything was moving forward. She was excited. The survey flagged damp. The buyer pulled out. And she stood there really confused. What damp? There isn't any damp. And again, same thing. The survey's landed and they've run off. And so I tried to explain. Surveys are like guests before a stay. When someone walks in, they spot everything. Every spot, every mark and every snag. But when it's your home, you stop noticing. If it's new to you, you want it perfect, you're excited. But after you've lived there for a while, your to fix list just becomes your let's get round to it list. And that's like these reports. These reports see the house through fresh eyes, but they're not gospel, it's just guidance. And for sellers, I get it. You want speed, you want certainty. Then suddenly you're being asked to spend money on reports and drop prices or agree to impossible fixes before the sale. Now, here's the truth. Transparency on both sides is key. Trust is everything. You can ask questions. You can negotiate with clarity, not with panic. And you don't have to feel trapped and pushed into a corner. Sometimes negotiation is fair and needed. But when you actually understand what's on that report, you're in control of the conversation, not reacting to it. All of this made me realise something deeper. It isn't just about buyers and sellers. It's exactly the same for investors. How many people has walked away from property investing altogether? They saw red flags and thought, this is too risky for me, and it completely scared them off. In that moment, they may have walked away from their financial security, their future wealth, that shot at freedom. Investment properties aren't magic. They don't get special treatment. They're just houses. They still come with the same red, amber and green reports. The only difference is good investment properties come with all the data points, the right criteria that makes it a good investment property. But it is still a house. Same walls, same challenges. Once you understand that, investing isn't so scary. You stop running from the survey and you just start reading it like information, not doom. I love that the machine gets this. It's calm. It's logical. It literally handles the whole process without panic. So please do me a favour. If your surveyor ever flags something, even if it was tiny, or a friend has told you a horror story from their experience, share it in the comments. Also, please share this post with anyone that might be going through buying or selling right now. It might just really help them out and they can thank you later. Our goal is to fill the comments with real experiences so people can see how common this is and feel empowered to ask questions with clarity, not fear, because that mindset shift from panic to perspective just changes everything. If that makes even one person make an informed decision instead of a fearful one, then honestly, this post was definitely worth it.